Yes, everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope you had a good, merry old Christmas yesterday if you were celebrating, and hope you got loads of pigs in blankets if you did, and all sorts of presents, and spent time with your family. So, I haven't done a reaction video to this just yet because, well, it broke on Christmas Eve, and it wasn't exactly like it came out of the blue. So, I didn't need to drop my entire life spending time with my family, because that's what, for me, Christmas is all about. Didn't need to drop everything to talk about something that we already knew was in the works and we'd expected the announcement of for months, right? But I do need to talk about it, just not at the cost of every single other thing that's going on in my life. And also, I'm not a massive fan of going live. I actually have arguments with the fan channel about this. I don't think going live is a strategy on anything. Just go live. I would much rather get the information in. I would much rather wait and see what journalists and people are talking about it, form my own opinions, and then go. We've all seen the news. Like, I got to add value to this either with opinion or with information. That's how I see these things. Anyway, so I thought, let me have a couple of days to digest this, and I've seen some really interesting reactions. There's interesting reactions already right in the comments, like right now. And I'd like to carry this over onto my Reddit group as well, because I am genuinely interested in what people think. And there isn't a right and wrong answer. I have my own opinion. Some people don't like how I express my opinion, but it is my opinion. And there is no right or wrong answer with this. Now, I wasn't for any of the options that were on the table, including keeping the Glazers. I didn't have anything that I'd fucking hung my colours on in terms of what we wanted to see happen with the club. I don't want the Glazers owning the club. I'm not too keen on the fact Jim Ratcliffe has stuck around and potentially, in a way, facilitating the Glazers sticking around. Now, there's a lot of people who I respect and trust, are telling me that there is a mechanism in place for Jim Ratcliffe to eventually assume full control of the club. Okay, we'll wait and see on that, won't we? Because until it happens, it's pie in the sky. And I wasn't ever really comfortable with the Qataris owning us. On one hand, I was kind of like, what's the point in United holding out as some sort of a moral bastion when you see what's going on with Manchester City, the 115 charges that's going on, the rumours of corruption that's rife across the different levels of the sport. And I did have a little bit of a, if you can't beat them, join them kind of attitude to it. Well, we're all going to end up owned by fucking states or something eventually. Why not have a bit of fun while we're doing it? But it was never something that I was completely, holistically, fully on board with. It was kind of like, out of all of the options on the table, they're all going to suck to a certain level of degree. I think this one would be the most fun. But I certainly wasn't, leading the charge for United to be owned by Qataris, because I didn't want us to be. Ultimately, I want us to be fan-owned. And I know that's pie in the sky. And I know that's just entirely unrealistic. The opportunity for United to become fan-owned was probably a one-time play. Maybe a two-time play, but realistically a one-time play. And people did tell United to try and buy up somewhere in the region of 40% of the shares after the failed Murtough takeover back in 1999. And as a fan base, we didn't do that. And then not doing that led to the Magnus McMania, the Glazers, and all the other things that came since. So I'm not saying, oh, it's our fault. Hindsight's 2020, but the opportunity has probably passed us by when it was more affordable to buy a stake in the club. Now we're talking in the billions of pounds. There are literally half a dozen individuals in the world that might have that sort of cash and capital and will and want to be able to buy the club. So we are left in the situation that we are left in. So what's happened? Well, on Christmas Eve, it was announced that Sir Jim Ratcliffe completed his deal to become a minority stakeholder in Manchester United, purchasing a 25% stake for approximately 1.3 billion. Ineos Group will take control of the football operations, and there are plans to invest approximately 245 million into infrastructure works at Old Trafford and possibly Carrington. Unfortunately, 245 million isn't going to go a hell of a long way. You look at all of the recent stadium redevelopments, any major redevelopment of a stadium, you're talking in the 750 to a billion sort of range. But on one hand, I'm quite pleased. I retweeted something earlier from Daniel Harris, which was part of the allure of Old Trafford, and the one thing you can't buy or recreate at Old Trafford is it's dripping and soaked in history. And I think you absolutely lose something if you were to demolish it and rebuild it. I like the idea of rebuilding it and remodernising it. I mean, we did so in the 90s, and we did make it the greatest stadium in Britain, at least, if not in Europe at the time. But literally since, I mean, Martin Edwards undertaken from, I mean, he started work like basically as soon as the Taylor report landed, demanding all-seater stadiums in English football following the disaster at Hillsborough. He started work almost immediately on putting those things in place. There used to be seating around the top part and portions of Old Trafford, obviously by the Stretford end. Well, I mean, technically it still did in the Stretford end, but it was like 2 rows at the back of the Stretford end. It was just a huge terrace. They demolished the Stretford end. They created this really cool looking bowl for a couple of years, and then they dropped the North Stand and they built the 3 tiers on top of the North Stand in preparation for Euro 96. And then following that, they extended the second decks on both East and West Stand, and then they filled the corners in. The corner work was commissioned in 2004. And why is that date important? Well, the works didn't actually complete until 06, 07, I don't think, but they were commissioned in 2004. Now, that was essentially where Old Trafford was left. There's been a little bit of disabled viewing platforms been finished at the back of the Stretford end, and there's been a bit of a rejigging of the bottom of K Stand. But there's been no major transformation of Old Trafford. For now, as of next week, we're talking 20 years. And if you look at the 20 years that preceded, well, the last 18 years of Glazer ownership, and look at the monumental amount of work that went into the ground, and then the 20 years under Glazer ownership, for me, that is it's a microcosm, it's a metaphor, it's an example of just how the Glazers run this football club. There are no interests whatsoever in making anything good for the sake of it. Like, there is no interest in anything unless it directly hits their pockets. And that's the same for the football team. That's the same for the stadium. That's the same for the training ground. We moved into Carrington, I think, in the year 2000 or 2001, something like that, after being at the Cliff for, a long old time. We moved into Carrington. At the time, it was considered the state of the art. 20 years later, it's now, you've got Cristiano Ronaldo coming back going, nothing has fucking changed since I left in 2009. So 245 million sounds like a lot of money. I mean, shit, man, it's more than me, you, and everybody watching this stream combined is ever going to earn in our lifetimes, unfortunately. However, in the tip of the spear of professional sport, I mean, shit, man, we wasted that on right wingers alone. It's nothing. You literally pour it down the sink. And when it comes to trying to build cutting-edge facilities, I'll go and show you colleges in America who've spent more than that on their training ground. This is not a lot of money when it comes to infrastructure. Now, anyway, I'm optimistic because I prefer to be optimistic and wrong than pessimistic and right. I'm a fan. This is a pastime. This is something that I voluntarily engage with, and I would rather be happy with it than fucking depressed about it. So I'm optimistic that something's going to change under Jim Ratcliffe, and him taking over the football side has to be a positive change. Because when I look at the previous history from the absolute disastrous Ed Woodward reign, into what has been almost comical John Murtough reign, there has to be better. Now, Jean-Claude Blanc, we did a video on him. We've done a video on Dave Brailsford. I've recently just done a video on Dan Ashworth. I've done multiple videos on Paul Mitchell. If that is the quartet, or 3 out of those 4 are the people that are going to come and be the front of office for Manchester United, I'm excited for that. Because this is people that have got a proven track record. Not a proven track record of putting fucking football clubs into billions of debt at JP Morgan where they were a banker. No, I've got people here now that are proven in sport and actually very proven in football. And that is reason to be excited. The problem is, and I'll go into this in a little bit more detail, if all them guys are appointed this morning, 9 a.m., nothing changes. Realistically, nothing changes that we can see on the football pitch for probably 6 months. Having Dave Brailsford in the football club and him putting in procedures and policies that are going to elicit these marginal gains aren't going to help us marking at the front post this afternoon or tonight when we play Villa. Do you know what I mean? These things take time. These practices take a while to soak into the culture. And it's that what Manchester United need. And you can see quite drastic changes in 6 to 12 months. But it ain't going to help us tonight. And it ain't going to help us next week. And it ain't going to help us when Liverpool come to Old Trafford. Do you know what I mean? Like, this season, you're going to have to gut it out. Now, on the January thing, on Radcliffe's immediate influence, so he acquired the stake. It's been now officially announced. I don't know if it's possible to do this before the decision has been made and everything has been reached, if you can sort of preemptively sort of apply for this sort of thing. But he has to pass the owners and directors test, and that can take up to 8 weeks. So does that mean that he's not allowed to even talk about anything? I find that hard to believe. I also find that really difficult to enforce, I would imagine. But potentially there'll be no immediate impact from him. Now, there's also some talk that he's not going to have any sort of influence over United's expected transfer business because those things are already in motion. One, I think that's a hell of a fucking assumption that this club has got its ducks in a row a week out from January. I think that's a hell of a leap, and I don't believe it, in all honesty. I don't believe United's targets are ready to go, and as soon as the 1st of January hits, we just go, bosh, signed. I don't believe that. I also know that going into this, because of the complete and utter shit show mismanagement of Woodward and Murtough over the last decade, that Manchester United are going into the January transfer window without a pot to piss in. Because we overpaid on Anthony, because we overpaid on Casemiro, because we overpaid on Mason Mount, we go into the January transfer window without any sort of leeway when it comes to financial fair play. How the fuck Chelsea are doing what they're doing, I don't know. But we, who are seemingly playing by the rules, don't have a pot to piss in. We can't go and sign anybody. I think it's going to rely on United raising funds. So I think the likes of possibly Varane, because I don't know the situation there, possibly Casemiro, because I don't know the situation there, definitely Jadon Sancho, and I would suspect somebody like an Anthony Martial or maybe even like a Donny van der Beek are going to find themselves in the January sales. So it's that. Now, we did a video which came out yesterday. Thanks to everybody who's watched that. Talking about Dan Ashworth. One thing I didn't put in the video was that there is a 12-month notice period with Newcastle, should they decide to try and bring him over from Manchester United. Now, what's interesting about that is that 12-month notice period could be waived. And I would suspect would be waived. Now, what might happen, and I actually could see this being the most probable course of action. If Manchester United do make a formal approach to Dan Ashworth and Newcastle for him, I would suspect he goes on gardening leave immediately and they don't allow him to go to Manchester United. Why? Well, if you've got a very key member of your upper management and he's about to leave and go to a rival, you don't want him knowing what your strategic plans are till the day he leaves. You also don't want him to start working against you immediately. So you're going to stick him on gardening leave. Now, realistically, what would happen is he would just start working for United off the books. I'm pretty sure that's how it would work. I'm pretty sure he would be making phone calls. He just wouldn't be attending meetings. But he would probably be in the background guiding the rest of the staff onto certain things, what to do, and then he would just pop up into the job. He'll be on Zoom all over the place, just making out like he's just doing nothing and twiddling his thumbs from home. But you wouldn't, if you're Newcastle and this approach is legitimate and it comes in, you might have the 12-month notice period in the contract. Realistically, I think you're going to stick the guy on gardening leave. His salary is not going to break Newcastle to have him on gardening leave, but him going to Manchester United today, knowing your plans for the future, might harm what Newcastle are trying to do. So I would imagine that if an approach does come in, the 12-month notice period isn't as drastic as everybody seems, because even though technically he couldn't be seen to work for United for 12 months, I think realistically he goes on gardening leave and he's just sort of advising United on stuff in the background. I think that would be the realistic way that all that kind of played out. I'm going to see what you guys are saying actually in the comments and see if anyone's got anything that they want to waffle on about. People saying sell Bruno, people saying sell Shaw. I haven't seen any saying sell Rashford yet, but I'm sure it's coming. Matt Connor says, what's the odds on the media judging the Ineos ownership based on this season's results following the takeover of footballing operations before they've had time to make changes to that effect? If United lose to Villa today, someone's going to say, well, Ineos are shit. I guarantee it. I absolutely 1,000,000% guarantee it. Someone saying, love the O'Neills, will it up the GAA? It's actually, can we see it? Unfortunately, it couldn't be further from your GAA stuff. Apologies. It is a British Army one. I know, right? Bit of a strange combination, that, surely, but you know, it's a British Army Rugby League hat. There's some fools in this chat. There always is. That's how it goes. Steve, enjoy the comments. A lot of people want Ten Hag out. I know they do. I've been arguing with those people on social media for ages. Like, I don't understand what people expect him to have done. Like, the results this season aren't really on him. Is it cold in my house? No, it's pretty cold up in here. I'm in the loft, and the loft is pretty cold. Being real, Christmas and all the rest of that sort of stuff meant I couldn't get to the barbers. So my hair's a bit of a fucking shambles. So I'm wearing more hats than I would like at the moment. And I just haven't done my hair today because I'm going to wear a hat when I go to the game later. So I might even wear this hat when I go to the game later. £180 million offer from Saudi from Marcus, no brainer. If you get an offer from them though, is that coming in? We don't know, do we? Lee says, is this a new start? No, I don't think it is a new start. I think it's a slight deviation. And for me, the most important thing is one of the things that you might never actually get to know about, which is that mechanism to get the Glazers out eventually. The Disney Channel says, I expect him not to pick McTominay every game. Well, here's the thing. Love the company is called Trawlers Limited. Whose is? Who's called Trawlers Limited? Oh, it's Jim Ratcliffe's company. That's class. All right, love it. On the McTominay thing, yeah, I agree with you. I don't think we're a better team when McTominay's in it. But then you've got to ask the question, you know, are there other people capable of doing it? For ages, we had people screaming Donny van der Beek was the future. Then we got Erik ten Hag in, the guy who made him, and he still isn't the future. You know, people always assume that the answer is someone that's sitting on the bench. What if Scott McTominay at the moment is fitter than Amrabat, who's not had a pre-season, who's had some injury issues? What options do we have at the moment? Matt GP says, who do you pick instead of Scott? That just reminds me of the Van der Beek for when bingo. Steve, with Ten Hag, I want him to succeed, but can't back in him starting Scott. I can't either, but this is the thing. You know, who else is there at the moment? I tell you one young man that I am very excited about seeing. You know, we've mentioned him a couple of times. I haven't done a video on him yet, but there is one planned, and that's Jack Fletcher. Watching Jack Fletcher at Old Trafford the other day was one of the most masterful midfield performances that I've seen at Old Trafford this season. That he kind of he wears the 10, he kind of plays like a 10, but he comes and occupies some very deep positions. Could he be, a very, very long shout at being the sort of midfielder that we need? Like the sort of number 8, the progressive sort of technical number 8 with a bit of legs on him and a bit of energy on him. Jack Fletcher's a serious, serious talent. A serious talent. He looks levels above at the moment. He's only 16 playing under 18. So, I think there's levels for him to go through. And Adam says there's no way he doesn't pick McTominay to start today. Do you know what he might be doing as well? What if he's picking McTominay purely on, like, attitude? Because as much as I don't think McTominay is a good footballer, I don't think you can question his attitude. I think his attitude's fantastic. I think that's one of the reasons why he give him the armband at Anfield. Tiger says, we all know Sir Jim has got a lot to do on and off the pitch. Qatar was our fast track, but let's move on and hope and pray Sir Jim can sort this out. Yeah, I think so. Ben Kelly says, Jack Fletcher and Mainu midfield, make it happen. Do you know what? I've seen Anderson and Cleverley when they were both young dominating midfields. Now, that might have been because of what was around them and the way their careers both went afterwards. You'd have to suggest it probably was a little bit of that. But I think both of those two guys, are probably very high ceiling footballers. Can you get them both through at the same time? It's a very much skulls and butts situation, isn't it? I mean, it's hard work to do it, but I would hope so. Crossy says, sorry, I am done watching and supporting this team. I've cut my season ticket up. I'm done. Ratcliffe has kept them at the club when we had a full sale on the table. Just why would you do that? Right, a couple of things. No, you haven't cut your season ticket up. That's a load of bollocks for starters, so I don't know who the fuck you're trying to impress with that. Season tickets are on your phone nowadays, and they have been for a couple of years. So you haven't cut your season ticket up. What did you do? Delete it off your fucking phone, you absolute hero. Full sale was on the table, but it wasn't on the table. So the Glazers had no intention of selling, which makes us wonder what's coming down the line with the Super League or whatever. Jim Ratcliffe, has he kept the Glazers at the club? Well, technically he kind of has, yeah. But like I said at the very top of the show, I believe there's a mechanism to get them out. Remains to be seen what that looks like. But I would take this, there's been no movements in 18 years. This is something, right? Genuinely, it's something. And like someone else said earlier, like, if it was only Ratcliffe and Qatar was never real, you'd be very happy with this. But we all got the instant hit of Qatari cash in our heads and got sucked in with it. Mulvaney says, with Ratcliffe making football decisions, we still require approval from the Glazers for any budget needed for signings. I can see sticking points in the bureaucracy of financials. Me too. I think I missed a couple of super chats. Well, I'm probably not going to be able to get them on here now. I don't think. Let me just try. I'm on the wrong screen. Unless I can... Is it on that one? Oh, maybe it is. Hang on. Oh, here we go. Got the super chats. Garlic Breadman says, hello, Steve. Merry Christmas. You look suitably jolly in the hat. I hope United start to be a bit more jolly on the pitch with Jimbo coming. Thank you very much, brother. Brian says, Merry Christmas, Steve, and yours. Thanks for another year of content. What's the very first thing Jim should do as head of football at United? The first thing he should do is appoint people in place with power that can actually change things. And I think that would be helpful. Abhinav Verma says, the January transfer thing is nonsense. United never plan their transfers. Last minute planning is why we overpay and then we blame the manager. Correct. Is it conceivable that Qatar come in to back part ownership with Ineos? Yeah, I guess it probably is, actually, yeah. I guess it's conceivable. It's whether or not Jim wants to do that. I don't know. Gut feeling for today's match? Yeah, I think we're probably going to fucking lose, to be honest with you. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that Old Trafford is just able to help with something, but I don't feel positive about what's going on in the slightest. Yeah. So that's that. Busave says the only reason we should back him now, Steve, is if we actually find and promote your quality youth players to try and show he's willing to make a new squad that wants to actually play for the club. He's just started Campbell. He's just given Mainu a run of games. Do you want him to just sack the entire team? Because I guarantee for everyone that's like, just play the youth, if he just played the FA Youth Cup team today against Villa and we lost fucking 8-0 at home, not one person would be going, played the youth though. Not fucking one. Honestly, not one. Mulvaney says, on a lighter note, I managed to get my hands on a vintage 92-93 away kit, so I'll be hunting down that squad and building signatures. Cantona's got to be number one. Lovely. Steve, is the Murtough news true? What Murtough news? If it's him getting fucked off, I would presume so. Cabal says there's no better example of what the Glazers are in United for as when they sell a minority stake and give up the footballing responsibilities to keep a rein on the commercial side. Correct. What person owns a football club and goes, can I do nothing, actually? Yeah. Keith says, Merry Christmas, Steve. Would I want Old Trafford knocked down as long as it's rebuilt on the same land? Nope. What's the O'Neill team hat? British Army Rugby League. Brian says, hopefully the mood in the stadium after the news on Christmas Eve will be electric. Spur the players on and make it a fortress. I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's going to be electric. I think we need the players. Do you know what? There is a responsibility from fans and there is a responsibility from the players. And the atmosphere in the stadium is it's teamwork, right? You can't put it all on the fans because you fuckers on the pitch have got a responsibility to make something happen too. And you also can't put it all on the players because us fuckers in the crowd have got a responsibility to make things happen too. And if those two things don't come together, then an atmosphere doesn't happen. So it's on both of us. It's on both of us. And like when I say it's on the players, someone lift someone in the first couple of minutes and watch the way the fans react. Compost says, you lot still going to be singing Glazers out until they... Listen, you know the fucking dance. Green and gold until they're sold. That's it. No, it wasn't fucking green and gold until a local fella from Failsworth gets a minority fucking ownership and footballing control, was it? We want them gone. Like, there's not a fucking chance anyone here is going to be happy with the Glazers sticking around. They need to fucking go. We've basically been in an abusive relationship, right? Here's how I would explain it to someone. We've been in an abusive relationship for 18 fucking years, and they just bought us a new dress for Christmas. No, they didn't even buy us a new dress. Someone gave them a dress to give to us for fucking Christmas. No, they need to fucking go. Fuck them off. Anyway, on that note, we may or may not be doing a green and gold kit next year. It will be something that I'm putting to the members of Stretford Paddock FC in the very near future. I'm just waiting for some designs to come through. But Boxing Straight Talk says, I'm booing Ten Hag today. Well, why don't you fucking boo yourself some mates, you fucking bore. But I'll be putting that to the members. I think we might do another green and gold kit next season. But need you guys to give us some input. Anyways... Thanks for tuning in. If you're looking for something to watch, I did a video just a week or so before Christmas about dogs. Are you going, fucking dogs? Well, yeah. So military working dogs, they're incredible creatures. And I've got a video on my IRL channel. That channel's going to go into overdrive as we hit the new year. So if you're into hiking, camping, fitness challenges, any of that sort of shit, come and get in the mixer over on that one. I've got like 20 goals that I'm trying to hit. In fact, should we talk about what your goals are for the new year? Let me know what your goals are in the new year. And I might read some of mine out that I'm going to do. No, maybe not all of them because there's fucking 20. Now, some of these tick off quite quickly, but some of these might take a little bit longer than that. And some of these are courses that I've already got booked in. But yeah, so I want to do a Tough Mudder. I'm going to redo Paris 10. I've already done that before, but I want to do it again. I want to go and do the fan dance in Brecon. I'm going to do the National Free Peaks, the Yorkshire Free Peaks. There's a couple of courses that I'm going to try and get myself on. Mountain Leader, Wilderness First Responder. There's a Winter Skills course that I'm on in February, where I'll learn how to use ice axes and crampons and stuff like that, because it's something I'd like to try and learn how to do. But yeah, those things are what I'm trying to get in the mixer with. Honey Badger says, Steve, with the current arrangement, are we heading towards a future power struggle for the club between Glazers and Ineos? That would be a disaster, possibly. Compost says, fans are complicit now. Years of mental torture and they do nothing of substance. Realistically, what the fuck do you want fans to do? What do you actually genuinely want fans to do? Because we got a game called off. And then Greater Manchester Police went and fucking arrested loads of the fucking people who got that game called off. So you want people, working class fucking people, to lose their livelihoods and potentially go to fucking jail over something we have no control over. Yeah, do you know what? If we all had 6 billion kicking around, you could say, you lot have done fuck all, and you go, yeah, you're right, we haven't. But the fucking club is worth so much money. It's just not fucking feasible. What do I think about the Stuttgart striker for 17 million? Fabrizio Romano saying United are in for him in January. Well, I've got a transfer list video coming out. It might be tomorrow afternoon, actually. So stay tuned for that one. James says, some balls on Dan Ashworth. Well, he's not done anything yet, but double crossing the Saudis must have you looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life. Yes. Aid says, to push myself in everything I do rather than not putting my all in gym, work, life, and friends. Friends is a big one, man. Yeah, you actually have to make time for that. Once you get families and kids and stuff like that, you do actually have to fucking put stuff in a mixer to make it happen. Disney Channel says, I plan on drinking more beer next year than this year. Hey, we all got to have goals. Is Jim Ratcliffe going to invest in the club sports-wise and money-wise? Don't know. See, it doesn't make sense to me why Jim's the one putting money in. The Glazers have only ever taken money out, but Jim's putting money in. There's such a fucking unequal partnership going on there, isn't there? Sayafik says, my goal is to not get affected this time. All the time Man United is playing. Good luck with that. Tiger says, goal is to lose weight and run the London Marathon in 1 year. Have you already applied for London Marathon ticket or entry? Because I believe if you've not got one, you ain't getting one. I believe it's really fucking hard to actually get on the London Marathon. Red Devil TV says, we also have to understand the timing of certain comments he made has had huge impact. His comments on style of play, etc., would have sounded different being in the top four or heading into the bottom half. That's true. Peter says, cheers, Steve, going to get myself a Guinness and hope that January, February will bring us some progression in play and results. Will be more time on the training pitch and players back, fingers crossed. Yes. I think January you might actually see, by the end of January, you might actually see some progress if we still get them. If we still have the fucking manager in place, because I think if we get Dick tonight, he could struggle, to be honest with you. Well, Vaney says, I'm keeping up my travelling goals. Go and see 3 new countries, lose 15 kg. 15 kg? Is that about 30, 35 pound played? To get lean and light on my feet and possibly more country and work abroad. Thinking about Australia or Canada. Go for it, mate. Abhinav says, plan on continuing this workout schedule that I have. Also plan on saving more money so I can visit Manchester. Lovely. What do I think about Amrabat? I think he's going to play today. I hope so. I really enjoyed Amrabat and Mainu together. Compost says, have a good day. Let's hope for a 25% bounce. Love it. What do I read that one? So should Jim actually wants us to support, but the Glazers are going to mess it up. Yeah, I can see that one. Brylan says the 5 quiz video was great fun. It's fucking chaos, wasn't it? Speaking of chaos, I am in Dublin Thursday, Friday this week. So if you're coming out, come and enjoy. I have no idea what we're talking about. We'll just fucking figure it out when we get on the stage, I guess, won't we? But it'll be a laugh either way. Jason says, new job, more exercise, more family time. Love it. DP says, I think the injuries need more emphasis and are being ignored by the media. Yep, I agree. King Dino says, my fitness goal is to do hard rock enduro mountain bike race. Good luck with that. Tiger says, yeah, I'm doing it for Kidneys for Life, Manchester Children's Hospitals, as my son is a big part of this inspiration. Well done. Lovely. Are we going to get a new striker in January? Not sure about that one. Chris Ashworth says, Welsh 3 peaks cycling between each in a day. What's the 3 peaks in Wales? I believe there's the Welsh 3000s, right? But isn't that like 15 different peaks? Are we getting Mbappe in 2024? No, we're not. Club's been on live support from top to toe. It has. We need a new team in January, says 5G Star. Yeah, we do. We're not getting one, no. Unless we raise about 100 million in signings, I don't think we'll have a positive spend in January. I think it'll be a negative spend. Anyways, I'm out of here. As always, thank you guys for tuning in. Go and check out the other channel if you're interested in all that sort of stuff. And enjoy the game later on as much as you can. I'll see you in a bit. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.